Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Green Shoot's Time for a Chat. Thank you for joining us this evening for our live Q&A. I'd like to introduce the staff that I have with me this evening. Down the end, I have Trami.
Good evening, everyone.
Trami is our EAL teacher. Next to her is Matt, our head of secondary.
Good evening, everyone. Nice to be here.
Laura, our year 2 teacher.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
And I'd like to hand over briefly now to Rick, our head of school.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. And perhaps you have discovered Green Shoots in our school through the website or through your friends, or perhaps you've even come by and already visited Green Shoots. The purpose for tonight is to learn more about Green Shoots, and we're here to answer your questions. So, Sue?
Please type your questions into the chat box on your Zoom window, and we will try and get to all of those questions as the evening progresses. While I give you the opportunity to type your first question, I do have a question already on the screen to get us going. I've been running tours at Green Shoots since we began, and one of the commonly asked questions that I get is, what curriculum do we use? So I'll hand over first of all to Rick, who will discuss our primary curriculum, and then he'll hand over to Matt.
All right, thank you, Sue. So we have adopted and we follow the National Curriculum of England in our primary, and the National Curriculum of England standards lead to it's a smooth line up into our secondary program of the Cambridge International. Our science is taught through what we call the IPC, or the International Primary Curriculum, which is also connected to the National Curriculum of England standards. So as I said, Sue, our curriculum is mapped out and it transitions smoothly into the secondary program, which Matt will explain a little more about.
Thank you. Yes, so as Rick's already said, the transition into lower secondary is common through the national curriculum, where we then teach the Cambridge curriculum throughout years 7, 8 and 9. That equally then transitions into the Cambridge IGCSE program, which we offer in year 10 and 11, which culminates in Cambridge exams. And we are also very excited to be a IB Diploma, IB World candidate school, which means that the plan is in 2 years' time, we'll be able to offer the IB Diploma 2-year exam program, which will follow on from the Cambridge IGCSE. So we'll be working all the way through from primary into secondary, consolidating the curriculum to make sure that the skills are covered and the curriculum is covered throughout. That's our curriculum at Green Shoots.
Thanks, Matt. Actually, Rick, can I just get you to elaborate a little bit more on the IPC? So you mentioned science, but it's also humanities and a topic-based approach.
Yeah, so the IPC units are based around themes that are of interest to the children. And so our humanities, so the social studies, the sciences, it's all taught through the theme. In the school year, we have approximately 6 to 8 themes that the children study, and each of those themes builds up to a deeper understanding for the next school year.
Great, thank you. Next on our agenda, so we're being asked, what tests do we use? So formal and informal testing. Rick?
I'll take that one. Thank you. So our tests. So what we do at Green Shoots is we assess the children. We assess them throughout the day, throughout their learning experience. So there is no specific, in the primary, no specific exam that the children take at the end, because the teachers are always monitoring each child's individual growth. And in the primary, we assess the children for their reading and their language program. We run running records regularly, and we have math probes, temperature reads of children's understanding and their maths, and all of that leads up to a final report. We report out 2 times per year, in January and in June. That's the formal assessment, and the children are assessed on a continuum of their understanding. So a beginning level to a more advanced level. And so parents are informed in a formal way, but also throughout the school year, we have formal conference periods where the teachers are able to meet with their child's teacher, and the children are part of that process as well, because children are engaged in their learning, and they are able to articulate to their parents what it is they're learning and their understanding in these different areas as well.
Thanks, Rick. And Matt, gets a little bit more serious in secondary. Would you like to talk about assessment for our year 7 to 11 students?
Absolutely, yes. So one question I always like receiving from students, and you hear all the time, is this going to be assessed? Are we being assessed right now? And I think the reason I enjoy that question is because actually, yes, as Rick said, that students are always being assessed in their lessons. Formative assessment's always ongoing. It's reported. We use the same reporting standard across the school with a 1 to 5 scale that we then report back on. And something we've been working a lot on in secondary this year is having a task sheet for every assessment that's actually issued. So students are aware of how they're going to be assessed. They're based on the Cambridge and national curriculum standards. So before every assessment, a student will know how they're going to be assessed, what they need to do to be successful, and then we can refer back to that task sheet for all assessments. And that's standardized across the secondary school. We do offer formalized testing as well. We use Cambridge materials, Cambridge exam materials, but not in a formal exam setting throughout year 7, 8, and 9. That's actually sort of embedded in the curriculum through the units that we offer in the various subjects we offer. Obviously, then as Sue said, when we get to year 10 and 11, that's the Cambridge IGCSE exam program. That culminates with final exams and some portfolio work and coursework. So there is an actual assessed exam at the end of that. At the end of year 9 as well, we do offer the checkpoint internally assessed checkpoint exams, which help students prepare and get some exam skills ready for later on. So we're working on exam and testing skills, but embedded into the ongoing units of inquiry that we actually offer in the secondary.
Thanks, Matt. Actually, Trami, we often get asked about an English test for children joining us. So would you like to explain to our viewers tonight a little bit about what you do when a new student comes to you, and we're thinking about where we're going to place them in terms of their English and what support they get?
Okay, so for every student who enter Green Shoot and don't use English as the first language, there will be tests with the entrance test, so it's with 4 skills, speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And from that point, we're gonna divide them into different levels, depending on where they are. And then I work closely with the homeroom teacher. Also, they will assess the student in their classroom in other subjects as well, not only language. And from that, we work closely together to give the student the support they need.
Thanks, Trami. Just a reminder to everyone at home, we do have some questions ready to answer for you, but we'd love to hear directly from you. So please type your questions into the chat box if you'd like an answer from one of our panel here this evening. So next on the list, what textbook scheme do you use? This is a great question. We know a lot of schools are very fixed in the way they teach, but I'd like to hand this over again to Rick and Matt to discuss Green Shoot's approach to textbook learning.
Great. Thank you, Sue. And thank you for the question. Textbooks. We use textbooks as a resource. So teachers have access to textbooks. However, they are not the curriculum. Our curriculum is the UK national, or the national curriculum of England, and the textbooks are a resource that supports the learning. So what we have found is that if you are in a textbook, it doesn't allow for the individual instruction that each child is offered at Green Shoots. So our textbooks are a resource. In the primary, we use the Learning A to Z program, and children are reading at their individual levels and also their level of instruction. And this is it's tied to the assessment piece, because the teachers are consistently monitoring the child's growth for reading, and they have a just right book, where a textbook, we can't expect every child to be able to access that material in the textbook, nor does it offer the challenge for the children who are ready for that challenge. So it's similar in secondary. Matt, I'll let you address that.
Thanks, Rick. Yep. Absolutely. I sort of second what Rick's just said in terms of textbook use. Textbooks can be very, very useful. They are an excellent resource, and we are fully stocked, so to speak, with textbook resources in the secondary school as well. We have sets of Cambridge text for all the key subjects. What we really like, what the Green Shoots difference really is that we actually offer this tailor-made curriculum. We have small class sizes, and quite simply, textbooks don't suit the learning style of all of the small groups of students we have. So it would be counter to a lot of what we believe in and against our values to be expecting all students to be following the same text at the same time. As Rick says, we do use them as resources. We can use them as question banks, as testing material, as revision materials. But it really would limit the students and their ability to inquire and be themselves and take things in different directions if we were expecting them to follow a textbook theme or a textbook course. So yeah, very much the same. We do offer the textbooks. They are available, but we don't rely on them as our curriculum. The curriculum is there, and using the task sheet approach that I spoke about before, again, they can be embedded in there. They're not actually explicitly used as the main text for curriculum.
Thanks, Matt. So I've got a question for Laura now. As our Year 2 teacher, Laura, if a parent has a child in Year 2 and in Year 6, and they want to know how often are my children going to get to see each other, could you talk a little bit about the day of the child?
Well, something that's really nice about Green Shoots, and I think one of the qualities that a lot of parents talk about too, is the socialisation of the children. They all get to see each other during the day. It's a very sociable lunchtime where they overlap, so the primary lunch overlaps with the secondary, all eating out on the deck. So siblings can go and speak. Friends from over different grades can go and chat and have lunch and see the teachers. So it's like that all day, really. There's lots of crossovers. It's really nice.
And I've heard talk about things like buddy reading programs. Could you elaborate on that for me?
One of the highlights of Year 2's week is when Years 5 and 6 come in and do buddy reading. Sometimes it goes further in. They want to show them their learning, or they might want to practice their presentation, or know that their buddy's particularly interested in something. They bring in a book to read with that buddy. So they've formed these really lovely relationships. And that also happens with reception and Year 3. And I know, having a son in reception, he always looks forward to the Year 3s coming in and being with the bigger kids and listening to them read, and also trying to read with them. So it's really nice.
It's an excellent learning opportunity for the older children to socialise with the younger children and learn about how different they really are. Okay, Matt, question here. My child is competitive. In what ways can they compete at Green Shoots?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I mean, I've already referred to the fact that we have quite small class sizes. So in some aspects, competition isn't in the same level. It might be in schools with 20, 30 students in a year level. What we do offer as being a COBUS member school is the opportunity for students to take part in competitions. So one thing we've been involved in this year, we've been involved in a maths challenge, we've been involved in an arts competition. There is further opportunities next year to be involved in coding competitions and things like that. And those things allow us to take part in competition with schools around the world. So one of the wonderful things about being an accredited school is that we have those links with other international schools. So the last competition we took part in, the arts competition, there was schools from 100 countries around the world. Our students get to be involved in that. They can see the other students' work, and we can celebrate our links to other international schools around the world. So although we don't have the ability to compete in such small classes sometimes, we do have the ability to compete outside of our school environment. And that's absolutely something we want to expand on, not just in academics and in arts and things like that, but also in terms of sporting competition. Obviously, as we'll come on to in a little bit, our new facility is really going to lend itself to hosting those sort of things as well in the future. So plenty of opportunity there. And one thing we found in secondary this year, actually, with the sort of mixed age group approach that we've been taking, is that the element of competition is kind of removed in some ways, but it does allow the students to support each other. And we've seen students becoming leaders and leading each other in a small group because the age range is mixed. So that chance to sort of lead and be a peer rather than being a competitive member of the community is there as well, which is a kind of a nice piece of our school as well.
Actually, yes, when we had our sports day a couple of weeks ago, it was really lovely to see one student who was in one house doing really, really well in the high jump, and it wasn't just his house cheering him on. The whole school was so happy for him, and it really goes to show that Green Shoots difference that, yes, there is competition, but the kids are happy for their friends. It's not just about winning. So the next question is, what can I do if I have a concern? So The green shoots difference is when you have a concern, you go straight to the teacher first of all. The teacher is the person who sees your child all day long, the homeroom teacher, and generally most concerns would be best served brought to the teacher's attention. Our teachers are accessible via email or via Seesaw, which is the learning app that we use to share the children's learning with you. And so we encourage you to go straight to the teacher. If you're not happy with the answer that you get, or you feel like you would like to explore the issue a little bit further, then of course you're welcome to tell the teacher that you would actually like to make an appointment to come and talk to someone above that. So it depends on the issue. You might be referred to Rick as head of school, perhaps Matt as head of secondary, or you may even be referred to me if it's to do with the food in the kitchen, for example. So those matters can be referred by teachers higher up the chain as needed, but the teacher is always your first port of call. So Matt, you mentioned before the IB Diploma. Can you tell us a little bit more about the IB Diploma program and what the benefits are that Green Shoots is looking forward to giving to its students?
Absolutely, yeah. So first of all, to clarify, we're an IB Diploma, IB World Candidate School currently. That means we've gone through the initial steps of becoming a candidate school. We've conducted a feasibility study, and we're in the process of going through the accreditation process or authorization process to be able to offer the IB Diploma in 2 years' time. So that will be the culmination of the 2 years IGCSE program. So next year's year 10s will be moving on into the IB Diploma once we hopefully are authorized to offer the program. So as a candidate school, we already have access to the curriculum and the materials, and all of our teachers will be undertaking IB Diploma training coming up in October of this year in the new academic year. So that's, again, linking to other world schools and training in a group of different teachers from around the world. So again, it opens our horizons massively in terms of teaching, which then filters down into the teaching and learning in the school. So what the IB Diploma offers is, as well as this international network, it also offers a combined sort of holistic curriculum. There's 6 subject groups: first language, second language, humanities, sciences, maths, and then an arts option in group 6. There's also a theory of knowledge course, which is a philosophy-based how do we learn, why do we know program. And all students in the diploma program are also asked to undertake a 4,000-word extended essay, which is unique to this program. You know, there's other programs available, equally excellent. The A-level program, the AP program in American schools. These are just exam-based programs, though. Students study for an exam. There may be a coursework element, but it doesn't have that same approach to all-round education of a continuum that the IB Diploma offers. It offers students a chance to really be themselves. And again, we feel this fits perfectly with our Green Shoots model, the values of our school, that students can become inquirers and independent. Things like the extended essay, the students completely design that from scratch. They come up with a topic of their choice, a title of their choice, they research it themselves. And these are unique elements that set students in the IB Diploma apart from perhaps other students in other programs. And in terms of universities, in my past I've worked as a university counsellor. IB Diploma students are very highly valued by universities. So there's something, and I won't don't quote me on this on the percentage, but it's something around a 20 to 30% higher rate of acceptance into universities for students who've completed the IB Diploma, which makes it a very highly valued program. And again, the bigger impact on Green Shoots is the fact that this becomes not just a program we teach, but we become an IB world school. And there's multiple connections then. We're one of a network of hundreds of schools around the world, opportunities for connections. We also plan on offering some online courses through the IB Diploma to offer more subject options, but also those online classes are attended by students in international schools all around the world. So we're actually going to encourage students to take at least one of these classes so they can be in an online classroom, which is actually mirroring a lot of the experience that students and perhaps even adults have in the modern world where we're taking online education. So yeah, there's a lot of benefits to this program. A lot of work we'll need to go into it in the meantime to get ourselves prepared for this, but we're very excited and we feel it's the perfect culmination to the program we already offer. It's a perfect finish and it's a perfect builder into university, and to offer students in central Vietnam an opportunity to continue their education to the end of year 13, the end of grade 12, and get graduation into university from our school.
Great. Thanks, Matt. Well, I think you've just answered our next live question, which was what is the age range of students at Green Shoots? Do we go all the way to the end of secondary? So yes, this coming year we'll be beginning with the year 10 IGCSE class, and those will be our first cohort of students that will progress to the IB Diploma, which is the end of your school career prior to university. Green Shoots started as a kindy. and we have quite a great kindy program. However, with the move out to the new campus next year, we are putting a temporary pause on our early years program to focus on the move out to the new campus, our primary program and our secondary program, and we are looking to reintroduce that early years program, giving us 12 months to settle into the new campus. So the next live question: do students receive recognised GCSE certificates at the end of secondary school, and are they valid if they went to a UK school for the final 2 years of their schooling?
That's me again. Yes, yes, and yes, I think is the answer to that question, but I'll go into more detail, obviously. So we are a Cambridge authorised school. So the IGCSEs, the international GCSEs that we offer, are internationally accredited. They are based again on the UK national curriculum, and they are historically, the IGCSE comes out of the British GCSE. So the curriculum is very similar, but it's got a more international spin on it in terms of the concepts and ideas. But yes, at the end of year 11, students finish with an IGCSE certificate. Assuming they do 7 subjects, they finish with an IGCSE Cambridge certificate in education. We also, as a CIS and COBIS school, are able to offer an internal Green Shoots diploma certificate based on the global citizenship model. So they have those 2 things they'll leave with. And if students were then to move back to the UK after year 11, it's a perfect transfer over. And in fact, a lot of the top private schools in the UK now actually offer the IGCSE rather than the GCSE, because they recognise the international value of that for universities. So it's on par with all the other schools around the world. Again, being part of these global networks such as Cambridge are a real benefit for us. Yes, and equally, if students don't complete the full 7 subjects, they can get individual certificates in each subject they do, which transfer directly over into A levels. So absolutely, it's a perfect combination.
And this is not just all theory based, because in fact we have had graduates from our IGCSE program over the years who have gone on to universities, secondary schools and then universities all over the world, and their qualifications and their reports from us are always recognised. Another live question, Matt, keep the microphone. I think this one is for you also. Is there a partner program route for students when and if they complete their GCSEs for further education, such as A levels and then university? The gentleman asking the question says that his wife and I are considering having our children study A levels and potentially university options in the UK. I feel like your last comment kind of answered that. It can progress from our IGCSE program to A levels in the UK. Partner programs.
I'm not entirely sure that the partner programs piece, but yes, I mean, in terms of partner programs, I mean, through our international accreditations and affiliations, there are opportunities for students to undertake things through Cambridge or through COBIS, international competition, Duke of Edinburgh Award. Those sort of things are things that can be completed as part or as simultaneously with the IGCSE. So students there's no gap there. So if students are transferring over to an A-level program in the UK, they will have all of those extra pieces that they need. And actually, again, having been worked in many different roles, but it's sort of a semi-admissions role, a lot of schools in the UK do actually look for the international aspect from students who've been abroad for a couple of years with the IGCSE, because they recognise there's a bit more of a global mindedness to them, a global citizenship element to these students that they've been undertaking through their studies. So it does set students up very well in that respect. Again, I'm not entirely sure the partner piece, but my understanding of that would be, yes, we do, through our accreditations with COBIS and the Council of International Schools, have students linking up with other schools around the world. And we hope to really build on that in all aspects of education and extracurriculars in the years ahead with our new facilities.
Thanks, Matt. One of the things that we're really excited about at our new campus is going to be the development of a design tech lab. Now, Kiara, the new teacher that we've hired to come and work with us on this very exciting project, isn't here with us tonight. So I'm going to hand this next question over to Rick. What software and hardware will be used for the art, tech and design in high school? Are you going to use Adobe, iPads, Wacom, etc.?
Yeah, so it comes down to the Mac versus Windows discussion, and we have been in consultation with other schools that have design tech labs, and being that we follow the Cambridge curriculum for design tech and leading into the diploma program, we will be in our design tech lab. We have desktop PCs that will be able to run the CAD software that is a part of the program. And so the machines are strong enough. Again, it's through the consultation that we've had with other design tech schools. And that's how we're starting our program with the design tech in the secondary.
We should add that Kiara, who's joining us, is very experienced in the teaching of the British design tech syllabus. That was her job in England before she moved to Vietnam several years ago, and so we're very excited with the experience she's got to bring this new and exciting subject into the classrooms at Green Shoots. We're being asked how many students are going to be in my child's class, and I can tell you now, working in admissions, that at this stage we are looking at an average of 10 to 15 students per class next year. Some of our classes are at the top of that limit already and some of them are at the bottom, but our primary class size is capped at 22. So it would be a very unusual circumstance to find a stretch a class beyond that. But at this stage, we are expecting around about the 10 to 15 mark for each year level. Laura, a question for you. If you'd like to talk to the audience about how we differentiate at Green Shoots. And for those of you that think I'm using jargon, differentiate simply means how do we change the curriculum to meet the needs of each individual learner?
So we differentiate in many ways at Green Shoots. As Sue just mentioned, we're lucky because of small class sizes, so it's even easier to do this and make sure the learning's very student-centred. We use different grouping strategies, sometimes by interest, sometimes random, so they can support each other. Also, the children often have a choice of how to show their learning, so that it can be in whichever way they like. We also scaffold instructions, maybe simplify or sometimes modify tasks to suit that particular child. So every child feels successful, every child is successful, and we still meet the benchmarks and across the class.
Thanks. And I know when you first joined us, Laura, you were quite excited to hear that you would have a co-teacher in the room with you, one of our local Vietnamese teaching assistants. Do they participate in your ability to be able to differentiate for the children?
It's such a luxury to have a qualified assistant teacher or co-teacher, in the class. So at the moment I have 10 in my class. So even if we split into 3 groups, that's just 3 and a 4. So she can work with one group, I work with another, and then we've got some working independently. It's an amazing support, and it means the children are always, working with someone, or if they need some questioning, or we can extend their learning as well, have an impact on their learning.
Thank you. I think this next question is coming through for me because, as I said, my role is in admissions. Is it mostly Vietnamese attending Green Shoots, and are you a true international school? So I would like to say yes, we are a true international school. In fact, this morning I was calculating some nationalities by class for a family who was inquiring, and I was able to tell them that in a class of 12 children, there were 9 different nationalities represented, and that's common across Green Shoots. We currently have 19 different nationalities, and our foreign teachers come from 6 different countries. So we are a true international school, and it's really great to see that mix of nationalities and how quickly everybody merges and becomes one, but wants to share who they are and where they're from, and it's a really lovely thing to see. So, Matt, the answers are really helpful. We've just had a comment come in so that the children can study with Green Shoots up to GCSE, and then they could go to do their A-levels in the UK as they would meet the UK college requirements for their IGCSEs.
That's correct. Yes.
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 Okay. So specialist lessons. We're being asked what specialist lessons do we have and who teaches what. Trami, would you feel comfortable answering that for us?
Okay, so at Green Shoot, we have different classes for specialist teacher. They have music, art, languages included Vietnamese, EAL, French, and German, and also sport, HBE, yes.
Great. Rick, perhaps you'd like to address this next question, which is how qualified are the teachers at Green Shoots?
All Right. Our teachers are all qualified in the countries where they have received their formal education, their advanced education. So in order to be hired at Green Shoots, the teachers must present a valid teaching certificate, as well as showing that they have the credentials to teach the subject area or the grade level, the year level. Our teachers also, when they are hired, being an accredited school or with accreditation are required to have background checks, police clearances from every country that they have lived in, and that gives us that assurance that the children are in safe hands. It's part of our safeguarding program, but all of our teachers are qualified, and many hold advanced degrees, masters or several masters in specific areas that they are currently teaching.
Great. Thanks, Rick. And just a reminder to everyone watching from home, please send your questions in. We're drawing to the end of our first part of the evening with our staff from Green Shoots. Coming up in a short while, we'll introduce some parents to you, and you can ask questions directly to the parents about their experience at Green Shoots.
Move to Hoi An does not mean sacrificing the quality of your child's education. Next year, Green Shoots celebrates its 10th year of delivering quality international education.
The main reason I love coming to Green Shoots is because of the cooperation of the teachers, the support. They don't leave you out. They always try to put you into something, which I love.
We also, of course, are a CIS and COVIS member school, which is very important because that means we're in the top 14% of international schools in the world, and in the meantime, we'll have a very much personalised one-to-one education.
My favourite subject is writing and science because I really enjoy being creative and explosion's my thing.
My favourite subject at school is IT because you get to make whatever you want and you don't have to follow rules.
At other schools it's more closed, and here it's really open, and there are plants everywhere, and it feels really nice.
So this year I'm working in the reception class in early years, and we've introduced the Reggio Emilia approach in the early years, and it's been really interesting to see how the children have responded to this. We do a certain amount of teacher-directed activities, but we don't plan topics in advance. We see how the kids see what they're interested in and really follow their interests.
So 8 years ago, my wife and I went on a round-the-world trip for a year, mainly for the adventure, but also to see if there was somewhere we'd rather live than London. We fell in love with the place and we thought this is the one that we've been looking for.
Just the quality of life that we have here, we love it compared to when we were living in giant cities, and just being right by the beach and being in a smaller place. There's a great community. It's just been life-changing to live here.